British Prime Minister Boris Johnson is still determined to suspend the UK Parliament at the end of today's business. He's also pushing for a vote that would approve a snap national election, but he's expected to lose that one. And in another blow, an opposition Brexit bill has just received royal assent. Now, all of this is happening on a day when the Speaker of the House, who was a lightning rod in the Brexit battle, announced his resignation. CBC's Cameron McIntosh is in London.
Well, Suhana, I won't do this justice, but order, John Bercow, you don't have to know his name to know of him, the venerable Speaker of the House of Commons. He has announced in the House of Commons just in the last half hour or so that he will not be continuing on as Speaker. Now, it depends on what happens here this afternoon as to what happens to John Bercow. If Parliament votes for a snap election this afternoon, he'll be done as of Thursday. If Parliament doesn't vote for a snap election this afternoon, and it's expected it won't, then he will be stepping down on October 31st. What's October 31st? Brexit. So basically the Speaker is saying he doesn't want to run in the next election. He wants to spend time with his wife and his family, but he also wants to see the Brexit debate through to that hard Brexit date of October 31st. Now, should note that John Bercow first came to Parliament as a Conservative. As the Speaker, he stepped outside of the Conservative Party. The Conservative Party has not been happy with John Bercow these last several days and weeks. They have not been happy with some of the rulings that he's made. Some of the rulings have been seen as breaking convention, but let's face it, all of Brexit right now is breaking convention, but it was the rulings last week particularly that allowed the opposition to take control of the order sheet of the House of Commons and pass the law today that will force Boris Johnson to ask the EU for an extension. That wasn't sitting well with the Conservatives. I can tell you when John Bercow made his announcement today, very few of the Conservatives got off their seats and applauded. Also, over the course of the weekend, there was speculation out of the Conservative Party that they may put someone up to stand against John Bercow should he decide to run in the next election. Also want to ask you, Cam, about a bill that made it through Parliament last week. It has now, as I understand it, received royal assent, and that bill forces Boris Johnson to approach the EU about a Brexit delay until perhaps January. Johnson, you and I have talked. He is hostile to that idea. So what now, really? Well, he's hostile to it. This is the thing that he said last week. He'd rather be dead in a ditch than do. So now there's a law on the books. Also, this has happened within the last hour or so here in the UK that says he has to go and do it. Over the course of the weekend, though, we started hearing rumblings out of 10 Downing Street that he may not break the law, but he may try to go around the law. So what does that mean? Well, he could potentially write two letters. One saying, asking for that extension. Another one saying, don't mind that first letter so much, I don't really mean it, asking the EU to ignore the request. Or he could try to get a EU member state, and there are 27 of them out there, to veto it or veto the request. And that's one thing that the government of France over the weekend indicated it's not interested in seeing yet another Brexit extension. Many people in the European Union are also getting fed up with this whole process, as are many people here in the UK. So interesting to see what kind of maneuvering is going to happen there. But the Labour MP that brought this legislation together is coming out today saying that the Prime Minister better be very wary of trying to circumvent or dance around this legislation. He's threatening legal action. Here's what he had to say.
I'm very, very concerned and troubled by the fact the Prime Minister is going up and down the country saying that he will never ask for an extension. Either we have the rule of law in this country or we don't.
And that, of course, is Labour's Hilary Benn. So here's where we're at now. Parliament will be prorogued. There's a law in the book saying that the Prime Minister has to ask the EU for an extension. The Prime Minister is refusing, looking for a way around that. Rather than Parliament sorting this out over the course of the next couple of weeks, this could very well wind up in the British courts.